Welcome back to Sunday Night in America. Former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated this week while campaigning for his political party. Abe was the longest-serving leader of modern Japan, gunned down in a country where violence is rare and gun violence even more rare. Abe strengthened the bond between the U.S. and Japan. He was also the first Japanese prime minister to address a joint session of Congress describing the relationship between the two countries as, quote, an alliance of hope. Joining us now is former Director of National Intelligence and former Texas Congressman John Lee Ratcliffe. Director, thank you for joining us. From a national security standpoint, Japan's been such a staunch ally of the U.S. I think they may have been one of the first countries you met with after becoming the head of our intelligence community.
Yeah, that's right, Trey. I heard a lot of great tributes about Prime Minister Abe over the weekend, glowing and deserved, and they talked about, Abenomics and his ability to bring back the Japanese economy. But I really think his legacy will be defined by what he did as our security partner in the Pacific to counter China. And I don't think it's an overstatement to say that, he built and shaped Japanese intelligence for the purpose of countering China. And you're correct. When I became the Director of National Intelligence, the very first foreign visitor I had was Japan's intelligence chief, who was there at Abe's direction. So, in that respect, Shinzo Abe really was probably the first China hawk. A lot of folks now talk about the fact that, if Putin was unchecked in Ukraine, he'd move on to the Baltics next. Well, Shinzo Abe was saying before it was popular that China was not who they were pretending to be, and left unchecked, they wouldn't stop just at Taiwan, but they would threaten Japan. And that's why he initiated back in 2007 what is now known as the Quad, which is the United States, Japan, India, and Australia working to counter Japan throughout the Indo-Pacific. And, I really think, Trey, when you look at all of the low-class celebrations that were allowed by the Chinese Communist Party on state-run networks and social media platforms over the weekend celebrating Shinzo Abe's assassination, in a lot of ways, it really was a tribute to him. It showed what an effective leader he was in terms of countering, China's ruthless campaign to become a dominant superpower.
All right, John, I want to span the globe with you. President Biden is heading to Saudi Arabia this week, I think. Is that a good idea, so long as he doesn't join that Live Saudi Arabian golf tour? Is it okay for him to go to Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think it's, to say this is going to be an awkward diplomatic visit would be an understatement. I mean, awkward because candidate Joe Biden said that this current Saudi government had little social redeeming value, and he promised to make the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, a pariah. And sure enough, when Joe Biden became president and the Saudis wanted to talk him out of rekindling this Iranian nuclear deal that they vehemently opposed, he didn't pay them any attention. But that was before Joe Biden bungled our domestic and foreign policy so bad, declared war on U.S. oil, shut down pipelines, and caused gas prices to spike. And now he's in the very awkward, unenviable position of having to go ask for a favor from the people he's been insulting and ignoring for so long. And Trey, I got to tell you, it's not going to be easy. Remember, Joe Biden tried to do this over the phone 4 months ago at the start of the Russia-Ukraine war. He tried to call Mohammed bin Salman to see if the Saudis would boost oil production to offset, rising gas prices, and the Saudi prince wouldn't take his call. The Saudi prince is making Joe Biden come to him. And, behind closed doors, figuratively, the American president is going to have to, on bended knee, hat in hand, ask for his help. And, the sad thing about this, Trey, is Joe Biden should have been looking forward to this trip. He should have been improving on Saudi relations, bringing them into the Abraham Accords and expanding them as a partner to counter, a terrorist regime in Iran. And instead, he's having to go there to try and repair a relationship that he has essentially severed.
All right, John, we only got about 15 seconds, so give me your quick assessment. Any change in U.S.-British relations after Boris Johnson is out? There'll be a little bit of uncertainty for the next 6 weeks. No one will know who the British Prime Minister is going to be. But, the sad truth for Boris Johnson is he wasn't consequential enough as a British Prime Minister to really have an impact, for his departure to have an impact on
what is, between the United States and the UK, the strongest and longest security partnership that we've had among Western democracies. So, a new British Prime Minister could actually improve those relations because I think they'll provide better leadership than Boris Johnson has provided up to this point.
John Ratcliffe, thank you for joining us on a Sunday night. Thank you for getting off the golf course, because I know how hard that is for you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Good to see you, Trey.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.